Ben Lake.
Deputy Speaker, thank you for calling me to speak in this debate, which has already touched upon the several and very wide-ranging challenges that our police forces must face. But I will confine my remarks to three main issues. Firstly, I want to speak about how this settlement will do little to address the struggles faced by the already underfunded and stretched police forces in Wales. I will then briefly reiterate the case for devolving policing to the Welsh Parliament in Cardiff. And finally, I want to raise an issue of which the Minister is, I hope, already aware, the apprenticeship levy and the complications it is causing for Welsh police forces. Madam Deputy Speaker, members of the Government seem to have a problem with figures. Whether it is £350 million for the NHS or £450 million extra for our police forces, neither figure quite adds up. As the irrepressible Police and Crime Commissioner for North Wales, Arfon Jones, has made quite clear. It has already been discussed this afternoon, but I do think it's worth reiterating that around £270 million of the £450 million supposed increase is accounted for by the Government allowing forces to levy higher precepts on council taxpayers. The remaining £180 million worth is then accounted for by the Home Office increasing central allocations. Now, for the North Wales Police Force, this settlement means a real terms cut of around £2 million. Police now faces hard decisions on whether to implement further and potentially dangerous budget reductions or to increase the council tax precept, which of course hits constituents already feeling the pressure on their finances. The Police and Crime Commissioner for Dyfed Powys Police, David Llewellyn, has done an excellent job in recent years of retaining the number of police officers in his force, despite budgetary pressures he faces and the growing demands the police now face. A lot has already been discussed about the new and changing challenges that our police forces must address, and he has employed a very innovative approach in an attempt to cater for these new challenges, investing in such things as body cameras, better mobile technology, and establishing one of the best cybercrime teams in the United Kingdom. However, I am told that keeping his budget in the black and maintaining the number of officers on the beat is becoming an impossible task. This settlement subtly shifts the burden of funding from central government to the local taxpayer, forcing PCCs to make an unenviable choice: cut police numbers and put their constituents at risk, or increase council tax on already hard-pressed communities. Madam Deputy Speaker, it is patently clear that this is not a sustainable or a fair settlement, and of course Wales's police forces have been underfunded for years. There are 750 fewer police officers in Wales now than there were in 2010, equivalent to around a 10% drop since the Conservatives first took office. And you would be hard-pressed to find residents or communities across Wales, and particularly in rural Wales, who have not witnessed a local police station either closing or the station desk closing. And that's one of the things that Central Wales, in particular, my area, Ceredigion, suffer unique challenges that rural policing offer. Now, the responsibility of policing policy is still retained here in Westminster, hundreds of miles away from the police forces that are carrying out their duties. Unlike in Scotland or Northern Ireland, our underpowered Welsh Parliament does not even have a semblance of the control necessary to deliver the policing our communities need. Now, it's not just the powers that will be boosted by devolution of policing. Figures provided by Welsh police forces indicate that if devolved and funded on a population basis, as is the case with other services, police forces in Wales would be better off to the tune of around £25 million a year. Now, the failure to comprehend the current devolution settlement is exemplified by my last point, Madam Deputy Speaker. My honourable friend, the member for Dwyfor Meirionnydd, has exposed a potentially devastating funding dispute born of the confusion surrounding Welsh devolution and the apprenticeship levy. The apprenticeship levy, which Welsh police forces are of course subject to, is one of the main sources of funding for training the next generation of police officers. And yet, despite having to pay millions into the apprenticeship levy itself, Welsh police forces are yet to receive a penny from it. Now, this is down, I understand, to a dispute between the Welsh and UK governments. The government this end of the M4 claims that training is devolved, and so the responsibility of the Welsh Government, and so funding apprenticeships is its responsibility. The Welsh Government, on the other hand, claim that as policing is a reserved matter, the funding of training officers and their apprenticeships is a matter for Westminster. Now, as I've already noted, Welsh police forces are already under significant financial pressure. Whether this impasse is a product of incompetence, error, or a consequence of some political gamesmanship, it will mean fewer police officers on Welsh streets. It is an impasse that desperately needs to be overcome. I'd be most grateful if the Minister could update the House on this matter, and particularly as to what progress has been done to overcome this impasse. Madam Deputy Speaker, to conclude, PCCs of all political colours have expressed their dismay with this police grant. Westminster's apathy for Wales has never been more evident when it comes to our police forces. My final request to the Minister would be that he again considers the case of devolving policing to the Welsh Parliament and gives Wales the power to address its own policing needs. With our Welsh Parliament powerless to change matters and central funding falling short of a level that could be reasonably considered fair, Welsh police forces face a difficult future indeed. Diolch yn fawr.